great night. Hello, Nevada. It is so exciting to be here with you. The Battle-born Battleground dinner. This is the beginning of a great movement forward to make sure we have a huge turnout for the caucus, and then we go on and win Nevada for the Democrats again. I want to thank Roberta Lang and everyone who has worked so hard to build our party from the bottom up all over this state. And what an amazing dinner. Roberta and I were standing up here after Senator Reid introduced us, and she just looked out at all of you with the excitement and the energy that you are projecting, and she said, "You tell those folks in New Hampshire and Iowa, we got something going right here in Nevada." Now, personally, I will never forget how so many of you have opened your hearts to me and my family, not just this year, but over so many years. And I promise you this. I promise you, you will always have a friend in the White House if I am your president. I am grateful to all the volunteers, the precinct captains, the labor organizers, the state legislators, all of you here tonight. You are the heart and soul of this campaign. Now, I love you all too. Thank you. Most of all, I want to salute and thank my friend, our leader in the Senate, the pride of Searchlight, Harry Reid. Harry deserves the thanks not only from his home state, but from our nation for his decades of service. No matter how high Harry climbed, he never forgot where he started from or who he's fighting for. And I have seen firsthand how committed Harry Reid is to helping working families across Nevada and across America, and to build the Democratic Party here and everywhere. And you have a slate of impressive candidates. My friend, Congresswoman Dina Titus, is doing such a great job for you. I am so proud to have her support, and she just introduced me to a group, and she referenced an Elvis Presley song, and I think, as I recall, Dina, it was something like "Born Standing and Ready to Fight." Well, that's what Dina does every single day. And I want to really put my support behind your next Senator, Catherine Cortez Masto. Catherine is so well prepared, so focused on what she can do for you in the Senate. I just hope everybody takes her as your high priority going forward. We need her in the United States Senate. All the Democrats running this year, they need your support, and I will offer my support as well. Right now, I am not only running for president, but raising millions of dollars for our state parties to help you build the infrastructure you need to win, because I know we are all in this together. And the next president is going to need strong partners to get the job done, so we have to elect Democrats up and down the ticket. Because we have seen, haven't we, what happens when Republicans win. Just look at what's going on here in Nevada. They're undermining public education with a misguided voucher scheme that puts at risk teachers' jobs and students' futures. You even have a Republican congressman, Mr. Hardy, who says that Mitt Romney was right about the 47% and that people with disabilities are, and I quote him, a drain on society. You have an attorney general who seems to have made it his mission to tear apart hardworking immigrant families. And in Washington, as Harry knows so well, Republicans keep trying to give more tax breaks to the super wealthy, take away health care from 18 million Americans, and today, for the first time, they succeeded in passing a bill to repeal the Affordable Care Act and to defund Planned Parenthood. Well, I'll tell you what, it's a good thing that we've got Barack Obama in the White House to veto that terrible idea. But I want you to stop and think for a minute. It's scary to think about them passing that through the Congress, but in January of 2017, a new president is going to walk into the Oval Office, and America can't afford for it to be a Republican who will rip away all the progress we've made. Just imagine what they will do on the first day. They will repeal President Obama's executive actions protecting immigrant families. They will repeal the tough new rules on gun dealers and polluters that he has signed. That's just what they would do the first day. Then they would get back to their failed agenda. They would stack the tax code even more for those at the top. They would do everything they could to bust unions and set back working families, round up and deport millions of immigrants, put consumers at the mercy of drug companies, insurers, and predatory lenders. And boy, if given the chance, they would appoint more right-wing justices to the Supreme Court. And it could very well be they would get us into another costly ground war in the Middle East. That's their agenda, folks. That is what's at stake in this election. We cannot sit idly by and let them take our country backwards. We have come too far. We have fought too hard. All across America, families rolled up their sleeves. They worked their way back from the worst financial crisis in our lifetimes. And here in Nevada, you were hit harder than most. People lost their homes. They lost their jobs. They took second jobs if they could get them, extra shifts. You had each other's backs. Your hard work has helped bring America back. So we're standing, but we're not yet running the way America should. And we have a lot of work to do to build on the progress of the past 7 years. We face complex challenges around the world, as we just saw last night from North Korea. We have too many families struggling here at home to try to get ahead and stay ahead. We need a president who has what it takes to get the job done and make a real difference for you. And that means doing all parts of the job, making the economy work for everyone, not just those at the top, keeping families safe and our country strong, tackling the problems that families talk to me about, the stresses that keep them up at night, caring for a loved one struggling with Alzheimer's or autism or addiction. And here's what I believe, and here's what evidence tells us. When families are strong, America is strong. And America grows when your paycheck grows. That's what I believe. That's why I've proposed plans to create more good-paying jobs by investing in clean energy like you're doing right here in Nevada with solar and geothermal and wind, by investing in advanced manufacturing and putting Americans to work, modernizing our roads, our bridges, our ports, our airports. You know, the nation that built the Hoover Dam can build a 21st century electric grid to power our 21st century economy and create so many new jobs doing it. And I am the only candidate here tonight who has pledged to raise middle-class incomes, not middle-class taxes. I want to lower your taxes by helping you with the cost of health care, college, caring for an aging parent. And the Republicans, what do? Well, they just promise more new big giveaways to the wealthiest at a time when the super rich and big corporations are already gaming the system. They should pay their fair share. And under my administration, they will. No corporation should get rewarded for sending jobs or profits overseas. No Wall Street manager should pay a lower rate in tax than a teacher or a nurse. And if we want paychecks to grow, let's start by raising the minimum wage. Let's make it easier for workers to organize and bargain. Let's make sure that women finally get equal pay for the work that we do. And let's make it easier for parents to balance the demands of work and family with affordable child care and paid family leave. Now, I got to tell you, whenever I talk about this, and I get pretty passionate about it, Republicans say, well, there she goes again, playing the gender card. Well, if fighting for women and families is playing the gender card, deal me in. I got to tell you, I am proud to be running in a Democratic primary with my opponents. They have a lot of good ideas, and we share a lot of the same values. And the differences between us pale compared to what we see on the other side. But your choice in the caucus really matters. On February 20th, you will begin the process of choosing a president who has what it takes to stand up to the Republicans, to make a real difference for American families, a president who can get the job done, and not just on a few issues, but on all the complex challenges we face. And I do not believe that we're going to raise incomes for middle-class families by raising taxes. I don't believe we're going to ease their burdens by making them pay for Donald Trump's kids to go to college for free. I don't believe that you can stop the drug companies and the big insurance companies by tearing up the Affordable Care Act and forcing America to start all over again at square one. That plays into the hands of those special interests. So I've been laying out plans that will help families get ahead, stay ahead, and make the wealthy pay for them. Hold corporations accountable. Keep our families safe from gun violence and terrorism. Prevent the Republicans from taking us backwards. I know how to find common ground, and I know how to stand my ground. I will go anywhere to meet with anyone at any time to find a path forward. That's what I've been doing for decades as First Lady, as Senator, as Secretary of State. That's how I helped create the Children's Health Insurance Program that covers 8 million kids. It's how I helped secure a treaty with Russia to reduce the threat from nuclear weapons. And you can also count on me to stand my ground, especially when it comes to those powerful interests that are holding back American families. Ask yourself this: if the Republicans weren't worried, then why are hedge fund billionaires already running ads against me? Why are the Koch brothers throwing in everything they've got to stop me? You know why? They know I will stand up to them and defeat their right-wing, top-down agenda that is bad for America, and we're not going to let it happen. And they know something else. They know I'll stand my ground against drug companies that are gouging us with skyrocketing drug costs, against polluters who are poisoning our air and water. We're going to combat climate change, not deny it. Against the gun lobby that blocks every common-sense reform, even keeping guns out of the hands of suspected terrorists on the no-fly list. You know, if you're too dangerous to fly, you're too dangerous to buy a gun in America. And I will continue to stand my ground against those who traffic in prejudice and paranoia, who spread hate against immigrants, Muslims, LGBT Americans, or anyone else they can scapegoat and demonize. Insulting each other won't solve anything. You cannot make our country great by tearing our people down. So, let's remember we have to work together and grow together. And I want to give you two quick examples. First, we need comprehensive immigration reform with a path to full and equal citizenship. I am so sorry that this used to be a bipartisan issue, didn't it? Yet not a single Republican candidate, not one, clearly and consistently supports a real path to citizenship. You're right. Donald Trump calls Mexicans rapists and drug dealers. He says he wants to round up and deport 11 million people. Senator Rubio helped write the 2013 immigration bill. Now he renounces it. Now, we know this is going to be a difficult fight, so we have to stand together and keep the pressure on. We have to reach out and make the case again and again, remind people that comprehensive immigration reform could raise wages for millions of workers and add hundreds of billions of dollars to our nation's economy. We have to remind people that at its heart, this is a family issue. If we say that we support families in our country, that has to mean something. Hardworking parents shouldn't have to prepare their kids for the possibility that mom or dad might be hauled away at any time. And if Congress still refuses to act as president, I will defend President Obama's executive actions. I will go further. There are many undocumented people with deep ties in their communities who deserve the chance to stay, like the parents of the dreamers I met here in Las Vegas, and I will fight for them. And I will close private immigration detention centers. That should not be outsourced, and I'll end family detention. We have good alternatives we should use. And I will work to ensure that every refugee who seeks asylum in the United States has a fair chance to tell his or her story, especially children fleeing from violence. Now, immigration reform is a big issue that dominates the headlines, but I want to give you an example of another problem that doesn't make as much news but has a real impact on millions of families. Because I think a president has to be able to deal with challenges as big as the world and as small as your kitchen table. Everywhere I go across America, people share very painful stories of addiction and substance abuse with me. How many of you have a loved one who has struggled with this? Just raise your hand, please. You know, last Sunday in New Hampshire, I had a big town hall, and I called on a young girl. She'd been raising her hand, and she told me she's now living in foster care because her mother overdosed. She asked me what more I can do for kids and families in similar situations. Well, the truth is, I think there's a lot more we can do if we do it together. We can invest in treatment, not more jails. Better training for prescribers. Easier access to anti-overdose drugs and efforts that will help people with addictions end up in recovery, not prison. But not long ago, I saw a great example of what we can do. Sheila Leslie suggested I go to a community program in Reno called Crossroads. It's run by the Sheriff's Office and Catholic Charities. They were tired of seeing the same people in and out of jail, in and out of the emergency room, with no hope of breaking the cycle of addiction. So they said, let's try something different, and built a safe place for people to spend the night with counseling and support and some tough love. Since 2011, Crossroads has saved county taxpayers an estimated $20 million by keeping hundreds of people out of the hospital and out of prison. You know, I love this. I love it as a model. It's really America, isn't it? When we come together to solve problems, a sheriff and a priest sit down together and say, our people are hurting. Let's try something different. We Americans may differ and bicker and stumble and fall, but we're at our best when we pick each other up, when we respect our differences and each other. Now, I know it's unusual for a candidate running for president to say we need more love and kindness in our country, but I think we do. And we all have to do our part. As parents and grandparents, as neighbors and co-workers, as citizens, we have to look out for each other. We have to strengthen our families, our communities, our sense of common purpose as Americans. Whether you're a dishwasher in Las Vegas or a coal miner in Kentucky or an unemployed young man in Chicago, I want you to feel like you have a stake in our country's future, and that our country has a stake in your future too. We can't forget that. No one should be left out or left behind. We are all part of this great experiment we call America, no matter where you're from or what you look like or who you love. I'm the granddaughter of an immigrant factory worker and the grandmother of the most wonderful little girl in the world. Bill and I will do everything we can to ensure she has the opportunity to succeed. But I don't believe you should have to be the grandchild of a former president to share in the promise of America. The grandchildren of truck drivers and teachers, firefighters and housekeepers should have that chance too. And in the end, that's really what's at stake in this election. What kind of country are we going to be? Are we going to be defined by fear and resentment, or by what President Lincoln called the better angels of our nature? As president, I will be your first line of defense against the dangers we face. I will always have your back, but I can't do it without you. I need you, and you have a real responsibility because you are the first line of defense. When you caucus on February 20th, it's up to you to choose the right person to stand up to the Republicans, protect everything we've achieved, keep America moving forward. Please join me, help me, fight for you, deliver for you, protect you. Let's make America all we know it can be. Thank you and good night.